welcome to the evolution of conversation. I'm your host, Clare Ems. I am a medium. I am an intuitive coach, a mom, a teacher, and many other things that have come into my life in this journey. This conversation is all about gossip. We're talking about the evolution of gossip. And as usual, every topic is exactly as it says. How can we evolve in the way that we speak about things? How can we become aware of why we say what we say and where it's coming from? What's the root of why we have to talk about what we have to talk about, or why we want to talk about what we want to talk about? So let's go on this journey and talk about gossip and see if it's as hot a topic as it always seems to be on the internet and in magazines. And let's get into this and see where it leads us. As usual, if you'd like to comment on any of the podcast episodes, please feel free to go to my Instagram, which is Clare_intuition, or feel free to contact me in any other way by going to my website to check out more about me and my work, which is www.clareems.me. Let's get into this conversation and see where it takes us. Okay, so we're talking about this hot topic of gossip. Okay, so to start with, I don't gossip. Okay, so that's on the table. No, so I do gossip. It's something I know that I do. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it is. Okay, what is gossip? We're talking about other people, or we're talking about, we're engaging in stories and rumor sharing, or even truth sharing about other people. And often it's accompanied by that feeling of like, maybe I shouldn't be saying this. Okay, let's talk about why we feel that way. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is that belief that is sort of imprinted on us as children, where we are often just given that message over and over again, like in South Africa. So, I mean, I'm sure mostly South Africans would listen to this anyway, but if you're not South African and you're listening to this, we say things like, sis, don't be ugly, which is like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can figure it out just from the way that I'm saying it. But we say, like, don't be ugly, don't talk about people. I recall, I want to say thousands of times, but so many times where parents, or like someone else's parent, if I was on a play date in a group of girls, and they would be like, guys, I don't think you should be talking about other people. And immediately you get that feeling of like, I used to get that terrible feeling of guilt, like, oh, I can't believe I've been caught doing this, but I'll probably still do it again. Yeah, just engaging in that, like that constant, like wanting to talk about people to make us feel better about ourselves. So like some of the things that I've put here in the notes that like came up for me as I was planning this was like, why do I gossip? Okay, so one of the reasons is it feels good. It feels good to talk about somebody else because there's a reason that I have felt uncomfortable or hurt around that person. Maybe I'm going to talk more about that later on in this episode. But something that I noticed that people talk about a lot when it comes to gossip and talking about others is that feeling of superiority that you create in yourself, where you're like, I can talk about that person because I know better than them. Like when people say, you know why they do that? And we can like, what's the word? We can decide that person's psychological makeup. Do you know why they do this? Because their parents did that. Do you know why they parent that way? Because they're too scared to tell their kids what to do. And I'm going to say we all do it. Maybe we don't all do it, because I do know people and I'm sure you've been there. I would love to hear if you've been there. Tell me somewhere, send me a message where you've been talking about someone to somebody else and that person just does not want to do it. They put up that wall. They feel so uncomfortable. They're like, and they might even say like, I don't really like talking about other people. And when people say that to me, I'm like, I feel like such a horrible person. And I'm like, well, neither do I. Straight away I'm like, no, me neither. And I feel like that person is so much better than me. In that moment, that person is Jesus. They don't talk about other people. I must not be Jesus. I cannot control myself talking about people. I actually had a story I wanted to share that that for me, that was like, it was like a mini childhood karma where I won't say the name because I mean, you know, although this person probably remembers the story. I was talking about someone an 11-year-old girl will do at school in a group of girls. And I was saying, I don't really like her. Let's call her um, Joni. I'm just making up a name. That's definitely not her name. I don't like Joni. And Joni tapped me on the shoulder and said, huh? And I turned around, I was like, not you, another Joni. And I felt as big as an ant. I felt so small. And I was like, Claire, why are you doing this? It's like something that almost I feel sometimes I can't control. I have to talk. Okay. So that's, I'm putting my cards out on the table. Vulnerability. This is what I do sometimes. If you don't do that, there we go. That's your thing. But now I'm looking at the why. Why do I do it? Why do I want to talk about people? Like, that's where I want the conversation to go if we're talking evolution. So, yes, okay, people gossip and someone tells you, sis, don't gossip, it's ugly. And for so long, I want to say, especially as women, but I think it's everyone, but specifically, if you look at girls, at schools, and this is generalizing, but I have worked at many different schools and I have worked with lots of different children. As a generalization, many boys will play during playtime, as in like physical sport, physical games, not all, so it is generalizing, physical games, sport, running around, and girls will sit and talk. And I mean, we know, I mean, I'm not going to talk research, but we know the research says that um, generally the female brain is more focused on social and emotional, and whether it's evolutionary or environment or genetics or I don't know, actually. You might know better, but I just know that that is a thing that we do. So why do we do it? Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Maybe you've thought about this, maybe you haven't. If you have thought about something different to me, let me know. I'm interested to hear. I've been thinking about why I do it. And the reason it's come up for me so much in the last like 2, 3, 4 years is because I've been through so many, I want to say, evolutions in my relationships and the way that I communicate with people. And I have found the balance for me when it comes to this topic of gossip. And for me, when I gossip, it is because, and this is not an excuse, I'm just saying this is why I do it. And it doesn't, I'm not going to say right, wrong, good, bad. I'm not looking at it in those terms. But why I do it often is because the person that I'm talking about has not left space for me to tell them, you have hurt me. What you have done has made me feel small, has made me feel, let's say, like worthless, not seen. And then I have no way to process that feeling because I cannot tell you. Okay, maybe you felt that before. So the person will maybe say something or do something, and it's unintentional. They are being themselves, and the way that they are and the things that they're saying, whether they mean to hurt me or not, or it doesn't matter, I'm interpreting it in a way that makes me feel hurt. So often it's stuff where people ignore what I say or don't validate what I've said or whatever it is. And then I need to find somebody to talk to about it, almost as a way of processing. And what I say is things about that person. So that's I want to say that's the old me, but I'm obviously I still do that sometimes. I'm trying not to do it because I'm trying to be more intentional in my conversation. But I'll say like, they're this, they did that, they said that. I can't believe there's such a this person. And what I'm trying to do now is say, hang on, how does it make me feel and why? And I'm finding it hard, I will be honest, because we get into these, I'm in these patterns, should I say, of talking about people to make myself feel better. And what I'm trying to do is step back and say, instead of saying they're this kind of person, I can't stand them, I say, hang on, I don't like how I feel around them. I don't feel safe. I don't feel heard. I don't feel valued. And it's even now in my body, I feel as I say it, I don't feel guilty saying that because it's true. It's my truth. I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard. I don't feel valued. And they don't offer me the space to tell them that I've been feeling a certain way. So what I have found is that the more I find friendships and relationships where I can speak, it eliminates the need for gossip. So recently with a friend, I had been worried about something. Like I had I had been worrying about the status of our friendship, if I can put it that way. And I hadn't had the confidence to say, what's happening? Like, I feel like something's off and I don't know what it is. Now, growing up, my parents offered me that space. So I could say, like, I don't feel comfortable with what you've said. It wasn't always well received, but we'll get to that just now with parenting, because I think it's a very, very common, it is a very common thing, but I'll come back to it now. And I found this confidence and I spoke to her honestly and I said, I have felt like maybe you've pulled back and you don't really want to be a friend with me and blah, 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 whatever. I said all the things and she was able to tell me how she actually felt. And I was like completely off the mark. I hadn't been gossiping about her. She might be listening to this because we don't have mutual people that I could ask, like, I don't know what's going on. And so that was like not actually a good example in this case. But the point I'm making is being able to speak openly allowed me to go, this connection we have is growing stronger. I know I can go to this person next time and speak directly to them when something makes me feel unhappy or unsafe, while still realizing that their behaviors and emotions and everything do not have to change because of me. I think that's such an important thing as well. When we talk to people, it's like, you make me feel this way. Be different. No, I need to take responsibility for it. Should they wish to change, if they feel they need to, well, that's their thing. But if I feel safe and I feel like they receive it in a way that they can validate me and say, I'm sorry if you felt unheard or unworthy, then I know this is a safe connection for me. Whereas if there are people in my life that make me feel unsafe, unseen, unworthy because of my own triggers, usually anyway, my own stuff that comes up, I'm incredibly sensitive to people's words, body language, eye contact. That's how I am. If I feel that way, I don't have to, but I feel the need to talk to people about it. And I'm trying, as I said, to now speak in how it makes me feel rather than saying that person is so this and that person is so that. And I hate being around them and I get into that. And that's that dopamine hit. You're like, whoa, this is so fun. And as soon as I take a step back, hang on, what does it mean about me? I feel unsafe, actually. I don't really like being around that person. So yeah, I'm repeating myself because I guess I'm processing as I speak. Okay. So that leads on to, when is gossip or perceived gossip or whatever you want to say, when is it wrong? Like when, because here it sounds like I'm excusing myself. You know what? It's okay. I can just say whatever I want. I think we go too far when we start saying things to try and change another person's mind, which I'm going to be honest, I have tried to do before. I'm not proud of it, but where it's like slanderous or like unconfirmed truths, where you want to say to someone, this person is that, and they do this because that's how they want everybody to feel around them. And that's probably not the voice I use. It might be. My friends will know. I hope it's not. And we talk about people to like make ourselves feel better. It's like that thing where you talk badly about somebody because you don't really want them to be friends with your friend because they're my friend. And it sounds childish, but I know I've felt it even as an adult. Maybe you have as well. I hope you have. I hope it's not just me. I'm kidding. And yeah, and I think we start to make stories about people's lives that we don't know are true. And we tell other people, and then that literally can change the perception of it's happened to me. Somebody's told me something about someone and the perception of that person has changed. As much as you try not to let it change, often it does. We're human. And you're like, oh, but that person's so this. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be around that person. Only to sometimes find out, oh, actually, it was just the person who told me. That was their trigger they were dealing with. And they've projected it onto this person. And now I don't like this person for absolutely no reason. I mean, that's just one example. Okay. So yeah, maybe we need to look. I don't know what the right answer is. When is it hurtful? When is it harmful? And when is it processing and actually helping? And I do feel there is a space for talking about other people. Imagine, this is something I didn't write in my notes, but I kept thinking about it. Imagine we were told to never talk about other people ever. Would we learn more about ourselves? I don't believe that we would. This is my opinion. I learned so much from processing how I feel about what other people say and do. that I actually need to talk about how I feel about what other people have done. But if we're constantly given the message that it's bad and it's wrong, then we're not given the space to share openly. And I do think that there is a conscious, intentional space to engage in talking about other people without turning people against that person. So maybe that's something that we can think about. So in conclusion, if we were to look at it evolutionarily, there we go, evolutionarily, how can we do this to evolve as people? So the first thing I think we could do, and this goes for parents or just anyone, parents, teachers, friends, like whatever you are, how can you allow someone to tell you how they feel without necessarily taking it personally? And I know that's so hard, but it's a huge lesson that I'm still learning. I haven't learned it. I don't know if there is a way to say, I've learned it, I'm done. When my child comes to me and says, what you said to me really hurt my feelings, and the gut feel, which a lot of us experienced as children, and it's not right or wrong, it just is, where we were told, so we would maybe say to a parent or a caregiver or a grandparent, like, it hurts my feelings when you do that, and they're like, well, get over it. That's not what I meant. And in that moment, if we had the opportunity where somebody said, I'm sorry you felt that way, that wasn't my intention. How can I make it up to you? Or, and it doesn't have to be making it up to somebody, because especially if it's unintentional, but how can I create a space that you can feel safer sharing your feelings with me? And how can I validate how you feel in that moment? And then, yeah, just I think in workplaces and in families, allowing open conversation, allowing people. I know one of the most recent things, and I'm speaking from like third-hand knowledge because I'm not in like the corporate environment, but my brothers have been in corporate environments where they do this, and I feel like this eliminates so much gossip. They say, this is the moment to speak our truth. Say everything that's going on, and they can say to someone, I feel like the way that you're doing that project is going in the wrong direction. And someone can say, I'm really struggling here, and I feel like you're not helping me. But you have to be 100% truthful and honest, everyone. But I also, and I feel like that would eliminate gossip, because you're not going to go to someone and say, I can't believe that she's doing this. Because you go to her and say, I can't believe that you're doing this. But a big but here would have to be the people that engage in that as a conversation need to be aware of their triggers, need to be aware of the way that they communicate. I almost want to say in a perfect world it would work, but I do feel that it can work in an imperfect world. If everybody knows the name of the game and we're all aware of our own failings and challenges and things that upset us, and we realize I can't take this personally. And if I take it personally, I can go to that person and say, I'm taking this personally, it's hurting my feelings. And we have an open conversation about it. How much more beneficial would it be? I think that's where that's where I'm going with that. And then I feel like another way to focus on this, or to work on this, evolving our talking about other people or our perceived gossip, is to lean into friendships that encourage this open conversation. So I feel as if a lot of the friendships I've been making in the last year or two are friendships where I can go to someone and I can say, the way that you said that made me feel hurt. And it's my thing that I feel hurt, because this is how I interpret people's words or interpret people's actions or behaviors. And I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but I feel safe if you know that about me. And they can say, thank you for telling me that. I'm sorry that you felt that way. So I know I feel like I'm going around in circles with it, but I would love to hear what you feel and if you've had that experience. And I feel like we all have an opportunity in this time of the rise of consciousness to ask ourselves, what is my role in my relationships? What is my role in the gossip? What is my role in receiving gossip? Am I making people feel bad for telling me things? Am I not looking deeper and saying, this person's hurting? They're not feeling understood. And that's why they're talking about people. Or am I just going, stop talking about people? I don't do that. Which immediately just shuts a person down. They feel invalidated. I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel like it's something that we need to talk about more. And I'm hoping that through the age of more conscious and respectful parenting and more allowing children to speak more and allowing children to be who they are, we can have those spaces where we don't have the need for gossip because we're able to speak about people in a respectful way and still figure out why it's hurtful to us or why we need to talk about it. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the topic. That's the conversation. I hope it has evolved as I have spoken.
12 seconds later.
Okay, so this is an add-in that I recorded about 10 minutes after I ended the episode. Because as I sat and created some of the posts and I looked at some photos of people gossiping and some images and cartoon things of people gossiping, what came into my mind was something so obvious that I didn't mention that has to be mentioned. Another really big reason that we gossip about other people is because we feel threatened by that person. We feel threatened by what they do. We feel threatened maybe by who they are. We feel threatened by what they're able to achieve that maybe we perceive ourselves unable to achieve. I have been in this boat for sure. There was a post or something that I did a few years back, and the only reason I remember is because a few people reached out to me and spoke about it afterwards and said it was an opportunity for something they like to think about, something they already knew but hadn't fully thought about, was the concept of jealousy and how when we are jealous of somebody, I didn't speak about gossip then, but we gossip about them, but also it shows us what we want in life. So if you're gossiping about someone, it's a really cool, cool way to be like, actually, I want to be like this person. And then it just gives us more insight. Why do I want to be like this person? And maybe it's not valid that we want to be like that person. Maybe it's only to get noticed or to get attention, or because we maybe feel that I'm speaking from experience. I've looked on YouTube before and I've seen people talking and they get all these likes and all these views, and I've been like, oh, I really don't like this person. In my mind, like, oh, I'm just so annoyed with them. And they've done nothing to me but be wonderful human beings on YouTube. But it's like, I don't want to do that. And I've had to really look at why. Like, do I want a YouTube channel so people can like it and see me? Maybe. But is that a really valid, intentional, conscious reason to do something? No. And I have to come back to, I guess, like with this, like I spoke about it, I think in the first episode, why do I want a podcast? And it's really just to share my voice. And because I have felt that sometimes I'm speaking things that people are thinking about, and someone's got to say them out loud. Maybe I'm that person because I love talking. Like, I'll speak them out loud. I'm not the only person thinking these things. You're probably thinking these things too. But it gives us an opportunity to talk back and forth. I mean, you're not talking to me, but you're welcome to. But I had a voice note marathon with a friend yesterday. And as we spoke back and forth, we were like, both just saying, thank you so much for giving me that space to just speak out what I was thinking. Because I figured things out from listening to you and from speaking in my own voice and going, oh, I never thought about it that way. Anyway, circling back, the threatened thing is a huge one. So who do you feel threatened by? Who do you gossip about because you feel threatened by them? I definitely have a list of people, and it's not that person's fault. They literally have done nothing to me. But what is it in them that I feel I'm not achieving or not reaching? And what can we do with that information? The one thing I do might be helpful. I look at the feeling that it brings up in my body. What am I feeling? And sometimes even that is enough just to sit with it and say, what am I feeling? Sometimes that feeling helps me link it to a past memory of like, I remember when I was a child and I was told you'll never be good enough or whatever it is. It links it back and I go, is that valid? Is that true? Is that something I should be believing? And how do we change those beliefs? Like, there's so many different ways, but it's something that we can do. So like, if we believe we'll never be like that person, but we genuinely want to be doing what that person's doing, what are some small steps we can take? We're not going to reach it in one day, but have you taken the first step? So if I'm listening to a podcast and someone's getting loads of views, or mostly I watch YouTube videos. If I'm watching a YouTube video of a spiritual teacher and this person is speaking about things that I myself want to speak about, I can look at them and go, oh, how come everybody likes their stuff? You know what? They're actually not even that good. I could say that. Or I could say, hang on, I would love to share this information. What can I do? Small step. Maybe it's just planning my YouTube talk. Second step, eventually leading to recording the YouTube thing, putting it out there on YouTube. Not everybody wants to do that, but I'm saying I enjoy that. And then putting it out and being like, well, let's see who listens. I don't know. I don't know if people will like it. I may never be that person that I watch on YouTube, but why do I want to be? And then I've got to come back to my intention. What do I actually want out of it? I want to share my voice. I want to connect with people. And I know that I'm on this earth to help in some way. And I know that my voice helps sometimes, because maybe, again, I'm just saying it again, I'm speaking it out loud. And sometimes speaking it out loud and somebody else listening to it helps them process it in a different way. So I hope that that's helped you. This was an addition to the episode. Thanks for listening. As I said before, if you have anything to share, head on over to Instagram. I hope that this was worthwhile to listen to. I love being here and chatting, and I look forward to chatting to you in the next conversation. Have a wonderful day.